Trump published his personal autobiography The Art of the Deal in New York. This book made Trump a well-known successful tycoon and is also the work he takes the greatest pride in throughout his life. At this moment, in the small town of Middletown, thousands of miles away, the young Vance was struggling to survive in poverty and hardship. No one could have imagined that this poor child would, many years later, also become famous because of an autobiography. He also joined forces with Trump, and together they tolled the death knell for the American empire. Trump and Vance. One is an elite from the upper echelons of American society, and the other is a white person from the lower class. Their identities are vastly different. Why did they eventually become political partners in power and deeply influence the fate of the United States? Trump and Vance took the oath of office as the President and Vice President of the United States in the Capitol building. Subsequently, their remarks and attitudes regarding issues such as the peace talks between Russia and Ukraine, as well as the recent tariff wars, have become the focus of global attention. And Vance is even the most eye-catching vice president in the history of the United States. This young politician, who became famous by exploiting the sufferings of the white people at the bottom of society, within less than 3 months, has been widely criticized and questioned on multiple occasions because of his outrageous remarks. At the Munich Security Conference, Vance launched a fierce attack on Europe. And his remarks were regarded as a sign of the rupture of the U.S.-European relationship. During the U.S.-Ukraine talks at the White House, Vance criticized Zelensky for not knowing how to be grateful, which also led to the cancellation of the originally planned mineral agreement. In a news interview on Fox, Vance claimed that the United States borrowed money from Chinese farmers to buy Chinese goods and referred to the Chinese people as bumpkins. After briefly reviewing these events, we will find that ever since Vance took office, he seems to have been constantly playing the role of a troublemaker with his extreme remarks. And Trump has repeatedly expounded on the art of the deal by resorting to extreme pressure. Although the actions of these two individuals have brought no benefits to the United States, and have pushed the country into an unprecedented state of isolation, and there is even a risk of accelerating its bankruptcy, they seemingly don't care at all. So, what exactly is the logic behind these actions? Perhaps we can find the answer in the growth experiences of these two individuals. In fact, after we have a thorough understanding of Trump and Vance, we can perfectly summarize their experiences with The Art of Bankruptcy and The Counterattack of the Speculator. The year 2016 was a very significant year for both Trump and Vance. In this year, Trump officially participated in the presidential campaign and won. While Vance was frantically attacking Trump, he also published the book that changed the course of his life. Namely Hillbilly Elegy. This book mainly describes Vance's growth experiences. Looking at Vance now, it's hard for us to imagine that he graduated from Yale University. He himself also wrote in the book that getting a Yale degree was his most remarkable achievement. Indeed, considering Vance's background, it was really not easy for him to achieve such success. Vance was born in Middletown, Ohio, which is a typical crime-ridden area in the United States. Poverty, violence, and drugs are very common phenomena here. Vance's biological father left the family when he was very young and has been missing ever since. He could only live with his mother. In that environment at that time, Vance's mother inevitably developed the vices of drug use and alcoholism. Her private life was also in a complete mess, and she often consorted with different men. It is said that she had 17 known boyfriends and had been officially married 5 times. So, Vance's childhood was spent in a state of constantly having to recognize different men as his father. However, Vance was also fortunate. His grandmother taught him to study hard and strive to leave that hellish place. In 2003, after graduating from Middletown High School, Vance joined the United States Marine Corps and served as a military journalist. In 2005, he was even dispatched to the battlefield in Iraq, where he was responsible for writing articles and taking photos. After being discharged from the military, Vance took advantage of the preferential policies for servicemen to enroll at Ohio University. He also successfully got admitted to the law school of Yale University for further study and smoothly obtained a doctorate degree. At this time, Vance had basically achieved social class mobility. As a Juris Doctor from Yale University, he could find a decent job wherever he went, and he would no longer sink into despair like his ancestors and fellow townspeople. However, just having such an identity alone was not enough to support him in stepping onto the stage of power. However, fate had already arranged everything for him. During his time studying at Yale University, Vance met two truly important benefactors. One was his wife, Usha. Usha's father was a wealthy Indian American. The other was Peter Thiel, a big shot in Silicon Valley. He was a very crucial figure. Not only did he single-handedly cultivate Vance, but he was also a major financial backer behind Trump's second presidential campaign. He was also an important factor influencing Elon Musk's political leanings. Peter Thiel once gave a speech at Yale University, and Vance took the opportunity to establish contact with him. After graduating, Vance married his girlfriend. And his personal autobiography was officially completed and published in 2016. The book quickly climbed to the bestseller list. Since it revealed the plight of the white people at the bottom of society in the book, it won the favor of a large number of white people at the grassroots level. During this period, Vance also tried to find a new way out for the working class at the bottom. However, it was not easy to achieve this. Vance realized that only the government could help the white people at the bottom get out of their predicament, but no government was truly willing to do so. This made Vance have the intention of entering politics. At this time, it was the time of a new round of the U.S. presidential election. As one of the candidates, Trump was undoubtedly the hottest topic at that time. Vance had no good impression of Trump because he thought that a wealthy person like Trump who liked to show off could never understand the hardships of the white people at the bottom. So he criticized Trump on multiple occasions in public. He also published articles in The Atlantic, the magazine that Trump disliked the most. He described Trump as cultural heroin and the Hitler of the United States, saying that Trump was fooling the white people at the bottom with false promises and offers of help, and stating that he would never support Trump. In fact, whether at that time Vance wanted to become famous by attacking Trump or he genuinely disliked Trump, it didn't change the fact that Trump himself was indeed a businessman with no political experience at all, and he also had a rather poor reputation. Trump was born into a wealthy family. After reaching adulthood, he began to take over the family business. At first, Trump had quite good luck, and all his investments went relatively smoothly. During this period, he got to know Roy Cohn, the most notorious lawyer in New York. This man not only solved disputes for him on multiple occasions but also taught him the skills of handling problems. Under the influence of Roy Cohn, Trump's way of doing things underwent a great change. He was always full of confidence and faced all his enemies with a haughty attitude. He would flatly deny any difficulties and attacks from his opponents and then launch counterattacks against them. This approach helped him resolve a lot of conflicts. His early success made Trump extremely arrogant. He believed that he was a business genius and always liked to participate in various shows to showcase himself. It was precisely during this period that he published his personal autobiography, The Art of the Deal. This book tells the story of Trump's childhood in Jamaica Estates, Queens, his early work experiences, and all his business achievements. The book also includes an 11-step formula for business success. Thanks to the great popularity of this book, Trump became a well-known wealthy man that everyone knows. In fact, this book was not written by him personally, but was ghostwritten by a journalist, and there are also many exaggerated elements in its content. However, this did not prevent Trump from accumulating fame because of it. In the following decades, Trump mentioned this book on many occasions and claimed that he was the person who understood deals the best. In the 1990s, Trump officially embarked on his life of bankruptcy. In 1991, he raised $1 billion to invest in a casino. In just 1 year, he suffered a loss of $3 billion and could only undergo bankruptcy liquidation. However, this guy was good at taking advantage of legal loopholes. He hired professional lawyers and managed to maneuver through various means. Not only did he evade his debts, but he also made a small profit himself. After that, the investments he was involved in applied for bankruptcy several times due to poor management. As a result, Trump became more and more skilled in the way of defaulting on debts. He didn't spend a penny himself, but instead made a considerable amount of money. In short, his persona was that of a successful businessman. As for the bankruptcies, that was the business of the companies. It was the banks and investors who lost money, and it had nothing to do with him personally. However, his business reputation and credibility were also negatively affected as a result. According to the data of each state counted by the U.S. federal government, Trump and the enterprises under his name were involved in more than 4,000 legal lawsuits. Many banks refused to cooperate with the enterprises under his name. So in essence, Trump is just a businessman who is good at marketing himself. In the political arena, Trump is even more notorious. He is a well-known opportunist who has joined and quit the Democratic and Republican parties several times. He also often boasted that he would run for president until Obama publicly humiliated him, and then he officially decided to run. The reason why he was able to win was mainly that he was good at marketing himself. Secondly, he grasped the pain points of the grassroots level of American society. Moreover, his opponent, Hillary Clinton, was even worse than him, which is why he managed to take office successfully. After Trump became president, Vance also participated in the U.S. Senate election in 2018, but he ended up in failure. He also understood that without the support of key figures, it would be very difficult for him to step onto the political stage. He reached out to Peter Thiel, and under the latter's arrangement, he publicly shifted his stance to support Trump. In 2021, Vance went to Mar-a-Lago and met with Trump. No one knows what they talked about during that meeting. In 2022, Vance participated in the U.S. Senate election in Ohio again. This time, he not only received more than $10 million in financial support from Peter Thiel but also had Trump's endorsement. During the debate, Vance defeated his opponent with his sharp remarks. After watching the televised debate, Trump praised Vance several times. He thought that Vance was extremely outstanding and also had a pair of beautiful blue eyes, which were very formidable in the debate. Thus, Vance finally managed to set foot in the political arena. His starting point and background are obviously much higher than those of the average person, and he himself has enough ability to seize opportunities. At the same time, he has also shown sufficient loyalty, whether it is to Peter Thiel or Trump. When Trump was being held accountable by the Democratic Party, Vance firmly stood up to support him on multiple occasions, and he thus won Trump's trust. In 2024, Trump participated in the presidential election again. Peter Thiel deeply intervened in this election. He not only provided financial support for Trump but also brought in a powerful ally, Elon Musk, for him. It should be noted that Elon Musk had originally been at odds with Trump all along. The fact that they could come together now was due to Thiel's mediation behind the scenes. At the same time, Musk strongly recommended that Trump choose Vance as his running mate. Why Vance? Firstly, Vance is a graduate of Yale University. This status makes it easier for him to gain the recognition of the American people. Secondly, Vance comes from the grassroots level and has written that famous autobiography, which has won him the support of a large number of white people at the grassroots level. Thirdly, Vance is loyal enough. He is able to cooperate and implement the plans of Peter Thiel and Trump. Therefore, this young man who has just stepped into the political arena has become the best candidate for vice president. And the subsequent facts have also proven that Vance helped Trump secure several swing states and finally achieved victory. Upon seeing this, everyone may have a question: who on earth is this Peter Thiel? Why is he able to easily change the stances of many people and deeply intervene in the U.S. presidential election? Peter Thiel is the founder of PayPal and the first external investor of Facebook. He can be regarded as the godfather of Silicon Valley. The most important thing is that this person is an anarchist. He believes that the government is like an old operating system, which seriously hinders the development of humanity. He wants to establish a free world controlled by tech elites. In this world, all people and resources are controlled by a few elites, and ordinary people are nothing more than lambs being raised in captivity. Therefore, the recent series of crazy actions and remarks by Trump and Vance are actually aimed at breaking the old rules, establishing a new order, and paving the way for extreme liberalism. They intend to turn the United States into a country led by a small number of elites. At the same time, they also want to control more countries through capital and technology. Eventually, they aim to turn the entire world into an ultimate utopia dominated by them.